And essentially what that is it's getting you more immersed in the Flagler community as well as the greater St. Augustine community as a whole. So instead of English 101, you might be taking a class called the History and Literature of Surfing or something more along those lines. So that's going to be based off of these four pillars, which are transformative learning, respectful and inclusive community, citizenship with integrity, and thoughtful stewardship. So moving more onto the majors side of things, since we are a liberal arts institution, we actually only have one science-based major, which is going to be coastal environmental science. And that one makes sense since we're located so close to the water that instead of being tucked away in a stuffy little lab, you're actually out in the field, out in the beautiful ecosystems right outside doing your labs and research. We have 38 majors and 44 minors, some of the larger ones being business administration, coastal environmental science, fine arts, and psychology. With that being said, 44% of our students do go on to study multiple academic programs, so any sort of combination of majors and minors. Here at Flagler, we actually have no caps and restrictions when it does come to majors and minors. So essentially, whatever you can think of, you're able to do. So any combination from that list in front of you. We also have a tuition lock from that 12 to 19 credits. So it makes it really easy to add on any sort of majors or minors, or quite frankly, just take another class that you find interesting without feeling any sort of financial burden there. Looking more at the average cost for the 23-24 school year, looking at a ticket price of about $41,000. So when you apply to us, you're going to be automatically considered for our Presidential Merit Scholarships. And then most of our students also apply and use the FAFSA as well. 90% of our students do receive some sort of financial aid. And then we also ask students to consider outside scholarships as well. And I know once you start to get those financial aid packages back, it can get a little confusing and stressful to try to figure out what you're actually going to be paying. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll run that bottom line cost for you, and we'll see how we can make things work there. But with that being said, really just reach out to us if you do have any sort of questions there. I know that I've rambled a lot, so if there are any sort of comments, questions, hopefully no concerns, please let me know, but we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much. We really learned a lot about your institution. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next organization now. And our next organization is going to be, dun, 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 Eckerd College. So Eckerd College, you are welcomed to the stage.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I'm an admission counselor here at Eckerd. Initially, we were supposed to be joined tonight by Jacob, which is our Dean of Admissions, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So I'm here instead. I am the representative for every student in the region, so if you have any questions, please let me know. And it actually worked out pretty well that Jake couldn't make it, because I would be your point of contact anyways. So to get us started, just a beautiful picture of campus, just like Flagler, we are super close to the water, and we're literally at the water. We have our own private beach and a waterfront facility, and I'll touch base on all of those things, but I just always like to start by showing off campus. And if you could move to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you so much. One way that we make it a little bit different than other colleges is definitely by all the areas of studies we offer. Our top 5 programs, and by top I mean our most popular programs, are marine science. Again, because we are right at the water, marine science is just very, very popular. Inside marine science, we have marine biology, marine chemistry, marine geology, and geophysics. Please, if you have any questions about those, let me know. I am not a marine scientist, but I will do my best. Another very popular area of study is animal studies. We are a very green and environmentally friendly campus, so lots of different animals that are around campus that students get to learn on a hands-on environment, as well as environmental studies, business, and psychology. But of course, students are more than welcome to mix and match all of their interests. So if you have a student who's interested in studying film studies but also wants to dive into biochemistry, by all means. Students can double major, double minor, major and minor, major and double minor. The options are limitless. Yeah, if we could move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So I wanted to include this picture of a little bit of our community to highlight three things here at Eckerd. So three things that makes us different than other colleges. One is how environmentally friendly and pet friendly we are. So I touched base a little bit on how environmentally friendly we are by, how campus is. Lots of green and the beach and all of that. But we are also super pet friendly. So if you have a dog, a cat, a bird, a fish, a ferret, anything that you would like to bring to campus, students are welcome to bring their pets with them. We do have some restrictions on livestock that unfortunately we cannot accept on campus. However, if you have a pet dog or a pet cat or a pet fish or a bird, anything that you would like to bring with you on campus, students can definitely do that. Another thing that makes us a little bit different is how much we care about studying abroad. So at Eckerd, it is very common for students to go study abroad at least once during their degree. They can go to more than 40 different locations, such as Cuba, France, Japan, Australia, Brazil. I'm from Brazil myself, and I always tell my students to go because it is a lot of fun. No one has actually taken my word on it yet, but I have faith. So yeah, it is very common for students to do that. We are ranked number 2 in the entire country for short-term study abroad opportunities. So definitely something that our students take advantage of. And the third thing, and possibly the thing that makes us the most different, is our autumn term. Autumn term is a 3 weeks mini semester that happens at the beginning of students' first year. So for first year students, they arrive on campus 3 weeks before everyone, and they take a class during the morning during those 3 weeks. And they have the rest of the time to explore campus and explore St. Petersburg, that's where we are located, as well as get familiarized with what it means to be a college student, as well as getting their first faculty mentor. Every student gets a faculty mentor right off the bat, and it's someone that can help them throughout everything and honestly anything. Yeah, if we can move to the last slide, please. I just wanted to highlight super quick our application requirements. So as of right now, we are test optional for next year. I unfortunately don't have an answer to if we're going to be test optional for after that, but definitely I'll let you know as soon as I know. Students can apply through the common application or our own application. It does not make a difference for us. We'll accept them both. And we will require the transcript as well as at least one letter of recommendation from an academic source. Even though we are a private college, we do accept Florida Brave Futures and FAFSA and all of that. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful to know. I know many of our families had questions last time about Bright Futures, and I'm sure we will get some more this evening as well. So there is a question in the chat about the cost, so you may want to respond to that, Sophia, while we move on to our next college. I'd like to welcome to the stage Florida Southern University.
Thank you so much, and excited to be here. I introduce myself. My name is Joe Madigan. I serve as the Director of Undergraduate Recruitment at Florida Southern College. It's been my pleasure to be part of this incredible community here at Florida Southern for the past 10 plus years, my 17th year in working with students and families in the college admissions process. And excited just to share a little bit of brief information about who Florida Southern is, a little bit about what makes us unique. I'll also talk a little bit and touch on the admissions and application process and some of the exciting things happening at Florida Southern. First and foremost, a little bit of background on Florida Southern College. We are recognized as Florida's oldest private university, been around since 1883. I'm proud to be in Lakeland, Florida. So if you're not familiar with where Lakeland is, we are just really one county over in Polk County. Depending upon where you are in Orange County, it could be anywhere between 20 to 60 minutes away from our campus. A neat distinction for Florida Southern College, we are recently ranked once again as the #1 most beautiful campus in Florida and #8 in the nation by the Princeton Review. It is a gorgeous, beautiful location. We are a community of 3,500 plus students on campus, with about 2,900 undergraduates earning bachelor's degrees and between 600 and 700 students earning master's and doctoral degrees. You heard that right. You can go all the way up to a doctorate degree in many different degree programs at Florida Southern. And that includes physical therapy, nursing, education, just to name a few. We are a community that also has a variety of students from a variety of places. So we have actually 48 different states, 57 different nations, in 54 of the 67 counties in the state of Florida represented in our student body. Is about 60% of our students are from Florida and about 40% of our students are from out of state. So you're going to meet your peers that are from the local area, and they're studying in a variety of different opportunities as well. We have over 70 different academic majors to choose from at Florida Southern. Some of the most popular ones is anything in STEM programs, so whether that be biology, chemistry, biotechnology, maybe one of our new engineering majors, such as computer engineering. If you're interested in electrical engineering, the Princeton Review actually just ranked us in the top 25 for powerhouse pre-medical schools out of our 16 professional tracks. If you're looking to go to medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, physical therapy, if you're interested in veterinary medicine, we've had 100% acceptance rate for 2 consecutive years out of those 5 programs. And I'm not talking about handfuls of students. We're talking about large numbers of students going off to graduate school out of Florida Southern College post-graduation. What sets Florida Southern College apart in these programs are some of our fast-growing programs like marine biology or our outstanding school of business, ranked in the top 5 in the nation for academic engagement with faculty, or in the top 25 in the nation is our musical theater program, as rated by the Princeton Review. What truly sets it apart is our engaged learning model. You learn by doing at Florida Southern College, and you're an active participant in the classroom, and you get to start in your major the first semester, the first year at Florida Southern. No better example of this than our direct admit nursing program. You heard me right. When you apply to Florida Southern College, you're going to be automatically considered for a seat in our School of Nursing. Within our School of Nursing, you get to work in our clinical facility right on campus with 17 simulation laboratories. If you're interested in going into clinical laboratories in pediatrics or OB, or you're interested in more birthing nursing, you're going to do that as part of your experience here. If you're interested in teaching, you'll get a chance to do that on campus at our on-campus elementary and middle school called the Roberts Academy, with working with students with dyslexia and learning difficulties. Or you're interested in marine biology, working in the Tampa estuary and studying the effects of climate change on stone crab populations. You learn by doing again, and this is what the real world environment means, is that employers want to see you have these skills post-graduation. It's no longer just about getting a degree or having a major, but what have you done with that? And what can you show with that? And we build in 3 signature opportunities for every single student at Florida Southern academically. We build in a study abroad, which you actually have built into your college tuition at Florida Southern College. And you get to do what's called a junior journey, a 7 to 10 day trip over a fall break, a winter break, spring break. You can earn college credits and study in your major if you'd like. Internships, working with Fortune 500 companies, local companies to apply what you're learning. And we also guarantee graduation in 4 years' time at Florida Southern College. And 2 key words I want to mention to that is or less. If you are taking AP, IB, dual enrollment, ACE classes at your high school, that is going to count at Florida Southern College, as we are one of the most generous colleges and universities for accepting that credit and giving you the value for what you're taking in those curriculums in your high school. We believe in postgraduate success as well. Our outcome rate of getting students into jobs or graduate school post-graduation from Florida Southern is 98%. But that's not all that makes up Florida Southern. When I talk about who we are, we're about community, about engagement, involvement, traditions, and some of the student life on campus. We have first-year housing guaranteed for students, and we guarantee that for all 4 years for all students if you want to live on campus. We have 20 NCAA Division II programs. A great example of that, our women's soccer program actually just won the Sunshine State Conference, and today is now headed off to the NCAA Division II National Championship Tournament, earning a bid. We have a great esports program. We're Division I NAC for esports, showing the variety of what we have on the campus to offer to students among our 120 plus clubs and organizations, from Greek life to students getting involved in campus ministries to our cat club taking care of the feral cat population in the local Lakeland area. If we can go to the next slide, I want to close tonight and just talking a little bit about how to become a Florida Southern College moccasin. My next thing that I love to mention that I love to share, it is free to apply to Florida Southern College. We do not charge an application fee. You heard me right. Save your money for the other schools that you're applying to. It's easy to apply to Florida Southern as well. You can accept the applications through the common application. Oh, by the way, Orange County works with SCORE. You may be familiar with them. We are a SCORE school as well. We accept applications through the SCORE Coalition application, an easy way to apply to Florida Southern, or our own application. Don't have a preference of how you choose to apply. When we look at students for admission, we're looking at a lot of different things. We want to know you're a good fit for Florida Southern. And some averages you'll see here are average GPA weighted for a student between a 3.4 and a 4.1. Our SAT and ACT scores are shown here as well. However, Florida Southern College is a test optional university, and we will continue to be a test optional university for all majors going forward as we began that process in 2018, 2019. We offer generous scholarships at the time of admission for students that are based on students' academic GPA, and we are a scholarship stacking school. You're earning bright futures that can stack on top of a merit scholarship. You can stack on top of that any state, federal aid, any local area scholarships through the education foundations locally, or anything you might be earning for talent scholarships. Maybe you're applying for the George Jenkins Scholarship Program, generously donated through Publix. All of that stacks together as our average out-of-pocket cost for a Florida student. Overall cost for tuition, fees, housing, and meal plan is usually between $13,000 and $16,000 per year. Very comparative to what you would pay at a large public university in the state of Florida. The best opportunities for these scholarships is to apply by March 1st in your senior year. Thanks so much for being here and learn a little bit more about Florida Southern. I will pause here and turn it over to our next presenter tonight. We're just so excited you're here tonight.
Thank you so much. I've learned a ton that I didn't know about Florida Southern, so wonderful information. You can continue to ask questions inside of the chat box, and we can get them there as well. Our next college to come to the stage is going to be Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. First things first, I'm just going to go ahead and post something in the chat where you'll see a contact information. You'll also see our website and an area where you can request more information if any of the things that I say today appeal to you. In addition, I also posted our fee waiver code. We do this for any students that listen to us give a presentation because we value your time and we're just happy that you guys are here and interested in listening to what we do. Okay, so my name is Brooke. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I actually cover the Midwest territory, but I'm happily filling in for my colleague who usually covers the state of Florida. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the things that we do. Can you actually go back to the first slide? Thanks. So you'll see lots of pictures around our name there, and just a couple of things I want to highlight. We are known as the world's largest fully accredited university that specializes in space, aviation, engineering, computer science, technology, business, security and intelligence, and applied sciences. Basically, we're a STEM school with an aerospace twist. So many of you have probably heard about Embry-Riddle if you know someone who is interested in flight, because we do have the largest fully accredited flight program. However, Embry-Riddle is so much more than that. So we also have a really awesome College of Engineering. It's actually ranked number 8 in the nation for aerospace engineering in particular, meaning that we're competing with schools like Caltech and MIT when it comes to engineering. We also have a really great College of Arts and Sciences. So we can actually go to the next page now. Thanks. So we also have a College of Arts and Sciences where there are a lot of different majors that you can specialize in. We do have pre-med majors like aerospace physiology, but then we also have more traditional science majors like applied biology. We have social science majors like psychology. Maybe you're interested in looking at the stars, and we do, of course, have astronomy and astrophysics. Our campus in Daytona Beach actually has the largest collegiate telescope on the East Coast. So there's us and 2 other universities on the East Coast that have the same size telescope. And so between the 3 of us, we have the largest ones. That's something we're incredibly proud of. But yeah, so you'll see the different areas that we specialize in. Of course, I mentioned our applied science programs, aviation. That's going to be everything from learning how to become a commercial airline pilot, or you can learn how to fly drones. You can do unmanned aircraft systems. We also have aviation maintenance. There's tons of different degree programs that are in the aviation industry that are not just flying, and we do offer a lot of those programs. We also have a College of Business. Now, of course, our College of Business looks slightly different than maybe a lot of other colleges of business, and that is because we do have that aviation twist. So you can actually major in aviation business administration at our school. But if you're just interested in regular business or marketing or finance or anything like that, you can actually major in just business administration and specify in one of those tracks. We do have a lot that has to do with computers and technology. We have a really great computer science degree program that has everything from cybersecurity and intelligence to learning software systems and coding. Of course, we have all of our engineering programs. Aerospace engineering is by far our top program, but we also have mechanical engineering, where you could do things like biomedical engineering or robotics or high performance sports vehicles. So we are in Daytona Beach, which is right next to the International Speedway. So we do a lot of stuff with motorsports as well. But yeah, I mean, we have engineering degree programs that are across the field. So you could do software engineering, computer engineering, electrical, civil, or aerospace or mechanical. So yeah, lots of different engineering degree programs. Next, I'll talk about security and intelligence. Yeah, thanks. So our security and intelligence programs, already mentioned that we do cybersecurity, but we also do other security programs like Homeland Security and Intelligence or Global Security and Intelligence. We actually have a lot of professors who have worked with the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and now they are coming to teach you all the things that they learned there, and something that you could be in the future should you choose to major in something like Homeland Security and Intelligence. And then finally, of course, we have space, which I mentioned a lot before. Of course, our aerospace engineering degree program does have an astro track where you can learn how to build rockets. We actually have 9 graduates that have gone on to become astronauts. So that's pretty cool. It's something we're really proud of. No matter what degree program you choose, now you can go to the next slide. There's a couple of things that you are going to get just by coming to Embry-Riddle. So we do have our industry tested faculty, which I already kind of mentioned. Basically, it just means that all of our faculty come with prior experience. So for instance, as a student, my favorite thing to ask my professors is, what did you do before you taught? Because I have had a professor tell me that they worked at NASA for the last 20 years, or they worked at the CIA, and now they're coming to teach me all the things that they learned. Basically, I've never had a professor that just reads a book at me and expects me to teach myself. So I'm really excited about our industry tested faculty. We also have small class sizes. So our Daytona Beach campus, which is the campus in Florida. We also have another campus in Arizona, but I'm going to talk specifically about the Florida campus. So our Daytona Beach campus has about 7,000 undergraduate students and an average class size of roughly 25, which means that you actually get to know your professors. I've heard really cool stories from my peers and from students that work in my office where they have been walking down the hall and the dean of their program has stopped them and said, "Hey, how are you?" And they're like, "I'm good." And they say, "Have you found a job yet?" And they're like, "No, I actually haven't." And they'll turn around to the guy standing behind them and say, "Hey, offer this kid a job." And suddenly they have 6 different business cards of people that they can reach out to find a job. So it's just one of the benefits of having small class sizes and actually getting to know your professors, also getting to know your peers. You get to build community with each other and network really well. So yeah, small class sizes are awesome. We also have hands-on learning and state-of-the-art facilities. So we are a hands-on campus, period. We have over 100 labs on campus, and you will be thrown into them your freshman year. So a lot of the labs and stuff that you'll be taking, I mean, it's across different degree programs, but no matter what, they're state-of-the-art facilities. So we have a lot of private donors. We also get quite a bit of donations from Florida State, where we are able to constantly update our lab facilities and build more buildings and areas that our students get to continue to learn in. So if you are someone that learns by doing, if you like to get into the nitty-gritty and kind of learn by tinkering around with things, then maybe Embry-Riddle is the right school for you. We also have our career-focused programs. So I've already mentioned a lot of them, but I just want to point out most of them are focused on getting you into a field. So we do have a 96% job placement rate within 6 months of graduation, and that rate is actually for students going into the field that they desire. So it's not just any field, but it's the field that they majored in and that they want to be in. So it's 96%. It's really high. The national average for that is actually 36% within 6 months. So along with our career-focused programs, you'll also get a lot of internship opportunities, research opportunities, and job offers. So we have an awesome career and career services office on campus that puts on a career expo where about 150 different companies come on to Embry-Riddle's campus every single semester to recruit our students for internships, research opportunities, and sometimes interview them and offer them jobs on the spot. So actually for our engineering degree programs, you are required to do an internship. And the reason that is because we're so confident that you're going to get one. And we know that doing internships and getting into these real life experiences, not only does it build your resume and help you get a job in the future, but it really enhances your education. And so that's something that we really believe in and we encourage all of our students to do. Okay, that was a lot of information. Really quickly, I'm just going to talk about our application process. So we are actually not on the Common Apps. The reason for that is because we have a lot of questions that we need to ask you specifically, especially if you're applying for one of our more technical degree programs like engineering. So you can apply specifically on our website. You just go to erau.edu/apply. I can put that link in the chat. And you can apply right then and there. The application is super easy. In addition to the application, we do have a $50 fee. However, I did put a fee waiver code in the chat that you are free to use just for listening to me talk today. And then in addition, we also require your high school transcript. So you'll need to contact your high school counselor and have them send it to us, or you can submit an unofficial document via email. But yeah, so those are our only requirements. Everything else is optional. So we have been test optional for the last 10 years. The reason for that is because we know that some students just don't test well, and that's totally fine. So you don't have to submit test scores. But of course, if you score well, it only helps, so you can. And then we don't require letters of recommendation, we don't require an essay, and we also don't require a resume. They're all optional materials. They can certainly help you get in, but they're not required. But yeah, so that is Embry-Riddle. Thank you guys for listening to me. I'll hand it back over to our host today. And yeah, thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we are going to kind of move into a panel discussion now. And there are a few questions, so you guys can all certainly turn on your cameras and participate here because I think the questions are going to be ones you hear quite frequently. But these are our most common questions from our families. So first of all, what is the most important factor to you in reviewing student applications? What's the most important factor to you or your college when you're reviewing student applications? And anyone can jump in and go first.
I can talk about Flagler quick. So when it comes to Flagler, we are a holistic review process, meaning that we look at absolutely everything to do with you as the student, not just a specific GPA marker going, okay, they hit it or no, they didn't. We're really looking at everything that makes up you and looking for the Flagler fit there. So with that being said, the high school transcript is really the most important part to us. we want to make sure that you're going to be set up for success by the time you do get to Flagler. So we want to see that you are performing well in your later on years in high school. Not saying that to scare you at all. We absolutely work with every student. And if you are interested in Flagler, at the end of the day, we're the admissions department. We're not the denial department. So we're really working to see how you can eventually get to our college, whether that's right off the bat or recommending some courses for you to take. But really, at the end of the day, just looking at that high school transcript to see what you have been taking, what you're taking in the future, and seeing how that all lines up.
That might be one of my favorite quotes. We are not the denial department, we are the admissions department. So that's definitely a positive spin. Does anyone else want to add on to that?
I can add for Florida Southern College, I think sometimes it'll depend on the academic major for a student. One of the things that I noticed that was in the chat was asking about some of the fine arts programs, and it sometimes will depend when it talks about most important factors in the admissions process. Well, if a student is interested in music or theater or art or graphic design, you might have to submit a portfolio or do an audition in addition to the application for admission. And that could determine if that student's going to be admitted to a program, especially something talent related like that. And then I'll also even say for us here at Florida Southern, when we look at our nursing program, we look at engineering, physics, for example, we want to match up that a student is doing well in the classes in high school that align with their college classes as well. So if you're interested in engineering, and I see some head nodding from Embry-Riddle as well, we want to make sure you're doing well in your math classes. If you're doing engineering that's there, we want to get you up to that pre-calculus and make sure you're doing well. If you get to calculus, it's there doing well. Calculus, physics, likewise the same. Similar to that, if you're interested in health sciences, pre-medicine, nursing, we want you to do well in biology, chemistry. If you've taken anatomy and physiology, test scores are one piece of that item. If you choose to submit test scores, truly the best predictor, and there's so much data out there that shows that, is how you do in high school and what your GPA was in high school is the best predictor of how you're going to do in college. And then last thing I will mention for us, as someone, I read 7,400 essays last year here at Florida Southern. It tells a lot about who you are as a student. And I want to share this. I say that number because every single student application here at Florida Southern is read 3 times by 3 different people that's there. So we read those essays to get to know you and if you're going to be a fit for the campus. So we have denied students with 4-point bazillion GPAs and 30 ACTs who wrote in an essay, I have a 4.0 and a 30. Why wouldn't you admit me? Well, because you didn't put a whole lot of effort into that essay that's there. We don't know a whole lot about you other than a GPA and test score. When a student tells a great story and shows a lot of potential, when we're trying to decide if a student's going to be a good fit here for our community or not, your essay can tell a lot about who you are. And I stress to make that more of a conversation. Think about, we're real people. Well, we're behind a screen right now. We try to be out of the box here, literally, and say, hey, we want to get to know you at our schools and make sure you're a good fit. Your essay is a great way to do that.
Yeah, I can definitely add to that. Definitely a lot of what the other counselors has said rings true at Embry-Riddle as well. I will say that as an institution that does not require your essay or resume or letters of recommendation, I'll just say we review you based off of what you submit. So if you only submit your transcripts, then we're only reviewing your grades. If you submit an essay, then we're going to look at both. What you submit is what we'll look at. So it really depends. Students that submit everything, we evaluate them holistically. So I'm going to read your essays. I'm going to look at your letters of recommendation. I'm going to see what extracurricular activities you've been in, and I'm going to look at your grades. So all of those things have weight. But for us, it depends on what you submit. I'd probably say the most heavy factors are going to be your grades, as in your grade trend. So if you have an upwards grade trend, meaning that maybe you've gotten B's and C's your freshman year, but your senior year you're pulling all A's, that's wonderful. And we love to see that. We love to see students who have become more passionate about academics over the years. So we look at grades, we look at grade trends, we also look at what courses you've taken. We do have specific requirements for programs like engineering, just like Joseph was saying, we also require pre-calc for our engineering majors. We also require chemistry and physics for those as well. So, I mean, we're looking at everything, but yeah, at least for us, you are looked at as holistically as you apply. So if you just submit your transcripts, that's all we're gonna look at. But yeah.
I think that's really great for parents to hear, though. I mean, I have 4 daughters. I know, pray for me. And they range in age from 5 to 19. I have a freshman and a junior this year. And one of the things I think parents worry about is that, they spend all these time writing essays, and do they just get shoved in a file cabinet? And I think what you're really saying is they definitely do not. That is value and time well spent. And I think that's really important for parents to hear. I also think you're saying you're the admissions department, and you're not a PI, you're not a private investigator. It is not your job to go out and investigate what their child is like. They need to be able to bring that to the table in the application. So it is important to have all of those factors in. Sure, you can turn it in with less, but it would benefit you to turn it in with more. So that actually dovetails into another question that I think is a question a lot of families have. I'm sure every parent on this call has a child who has considered taking an honors class or a dual enrollment class or an AP class or an IB class. We have Cambridge. We have so many options in OCPS. I don't mean content wise, right? But what are the quote unquote right classes to take? I think this has happened to me as a parent. I wonder, should my child take dual enrollment or should they take AP? Does it matter? When does it matter? What majors does it matter for? Could you guys talk about that a little bit?
Sure, if you guys don't mind, I can jump right in. So here at Eckerd, when students apply, even if they decide what they want to study already, we will consider them as undecided. So everyone applies as an undecided because they only need to tell us what they want to study at the end of their second year. This leaves a lot of room for them to explore their options, and we encourage them to do so from high school. So we understand that. So at Eckerd, we receive applications from all over, right? Just like I'm sure all of you guys do as well. So we understand that not all schools offer the same content. So I have some schools that offer AP, some schools that offer IB, some schools that only offer honors, and so on. So what I always tell my students is that when we receive your transcript, at least at Eckerd, the GPA you see is not the GPA I'm seeing. We are recalculating your GPA based on the level of challenging of courses you're taking. So for example, for students who have the option of taking AP classes, if you're taking AP classes, we will recalculate your GPA and add more weight to those AP classes or IB or ACE or things like that. Even more than honors, for example. So if students have the option of taking those type of classes, I always tell them to do so, especially if they think they can handle, if they don't think it's too much on their transcript. However, if they are in between, at least for us, on taking dual enrollment classes or taking AP, IBs, ACE, well, I always tell them to consider what they want for their future, in the sense that we take dual enrollment credits, and that they are transferable to Eckerd. So do you want to come with a little bit of higher standing, not having to take as many classes as the other students? Or would you prefer on having the chance of having your GPA bumped a little by taking APs and IBs? I do think it's very personal. It depends on the student and what their preference is, but that's how we see it, at least. I hope this helps answer in some way.
I think that's great insight. Does anyone else want to jump in there?
I'd like to jump in on this one as well. And I think kind of go back to the question a little bit, is how do you look at the different types of credits that a student can take? AP, IB, dual enrollment, ACE. For us here at Florida Southern College, we weight them all the same. It's all the same that's there. So we're not giving higher weight to if you took an AP compared to a dual enrollment. We're not weighting ACE higher than an AP or anything like that. They're all the same. So for us, I can make this very simplified. We follow the state university's same weighting scale that's there. So the state university system with Bright Futures gives you a full point of additional weight essentially. You take an ACE, an AP, an IB, or a dual enrollment class. And we do the same. That's there. Even as a private university, that's there. If a student's taking honors, pre-AP, pre-ACE, pre-IB, put a pre in front of it, that's there, because I know that those are the options that again cross depending upon your school that's there. That's a half a point of additional weighting that's going to come in for that. Thanks for the question that was in there. So, and good note to mention that if you're taking those classes, something that we do at Florida Southern, and again, this is where we get to know the school that you're at that's there. We're going to look at the profile for your school and say, okay, you're at this school and they offer this many ACE, AP, IB, whatever it is that's there, because not every school is the same in what they're going to offer for these classes and their curriculums too. So maybe you have more opportunities to take more honors, or your class offers more ACE or pre-ACE, whatever it may be. We also want to evaluate based on that. Now, there's not some magic number that you have to take necessarily of these classes, but I want to share with you that when you do take them, they are going to be weighted the same, at least for us. And because we're following what Bright Futures does for that, how that's going to count towards Bright Futures as well. By the way, if you're in an ACE program or an IB program, you also can qualify for the Bright Futures academic level by getting your ACE or IB diploma. By the way, that also is going to count for us too. You can come in with all of those credits from earning those diplomas too.
Well, that's great information. So, I mean, combining that with what we heard from Embry-Riddle before, it sounds like any advanced coursework is better than no advanced coursework. But if I'm at a school that only offers 2 AP classes, I'm not necessarily penalized because I know that the school only offers 2 AP classes, so I can't have 10. So I think that's also important for parents to hear. And also that if I'm taking an advanced level class, it's important that I do well in the advanced level classes that are most closely associated with the degree I want. So if I'm in engineering, I want to do really well in the math and science degrees, and we still want to do well in English, but it won't be terrible if that B is in English, but it wouldn't be so great if it was in something else. So I think that that's really helpful as well. So along those same lines, a question that we keep getting privately in the chat over here is, what do I do if my child isn't meeting that exact range of the SAT, ACT that you see? Do I even bother? Am I wasting my money and my child's time to apply, or do we go for it anyway?
I can answer that. At least at Embry-Riddle, I always tell students if their test scores do not accurately represent them as a student, don't submit them. So the reason for that is our merit-based scholarships are based on your GPA, your class rank, and if you submit them, your test scores. If you have a high GPA and a low test score, you're gonna get less money. It's better just to submit a GPA. So what I always tell students, if you test like you do or like you would have gotten in a class, so if you test well and you would normally get a 4.0, then yeah, submit your tests. But if you don't test well and you do get a 4.0, don't submit your test because you'll get more money that way. And that's just, you know, me trying to help my students get the maximum amount of scholarship possible. So if, I mean, at least in my opinion, if your son or daughter does not, meet the averages for test scores, unless they are a below average student in courses, at Embry-Riddle at least, don't submit the test scores. It's not worth it.
That's really interesting. So at a test optional school, it might not behoove you to submit lower test scores. So that, when I went to college, there was no such thing as test optional. So a lot of parents might not be thinking about that. Does anyone else want to add on to that for your institution?
Yeah, I can add on to that. So at Flagler, we actually don't have any sort of minimums when it does come to those test scores. We just have those averages that are published for you. So about an 1156 for the SAT and 27 for the ACT. We have been test optional since 2017, and we are going to continue to do so. So no worries with that one. But kind of like mentioned already, if you are thinking about it, for us, if you're around those averages, send it in because I'm looking over every single application. I'm looking to see what scholarships you'd qualify for. So if it is one that you did send in your test scores, and then on my end, I can say, this might not accurately reflect who you are as a student. Let's omit those. I'll reach out and work together with you to see which strengthens your application there. So feel free to reach out to me specifically or just kind of play around with where you fall in line with those averages and submit them if you're curious about it, because we'll figure out which option's best for you there.
To echo on everything that was shared there for Florida Southern College, if a student is feeling that it's not an accurate reflection of who they are for their test scores, certainly that's not required to submit them. But one of the trends that I'm noticing this year at my level, and interestingly enough, students are feeling that their test scores are not good enough because we're getting comparative to what, and again, we're the private schools here in Florida, but I think sometimes students are comparing their credentials to test scores compared to what you're seeing for the state universities, especially, or some of the top schools in the state or out of state, like a Miami or a Duke or Harvard or Princeton, or wherever you're looking at these. And I've had students, and it breaks my heart, tell me, I don't want to submit my test scores. And I ask, well, what is your test score? Oh, I have a 1390. It's just not good enough. That's there. And it crushes me to hear that. And I think it really depends on what your test score is. And I can echo for Florida Southern College, if you are going to be Bright Futures eligible, and I mean a 25 or above, or a 1210 or above on that SAT that's there, submit your scores. It is to your benefit, not only, again, for aid from us and scholarships, but also to let us know you're going to be qualifying for the Florida Bright Future Scholarship. And we have a test optional website, guide students on when should I submit my test scores, when does it benefit me, or when should I not submit my test scores. You always have the option to go either way, but I'm going to put that in the actual chat here tonight as well. But again, if you are at that Bright Futures eligible level that's there, I think that's a tremendous score and an achievement for student. And if you're close to that, don't forget that many schools super score. Here at Florida Southern, we super score on the SAT and ACT, and we will continue to accept new scores from a student all the way up until March 1st, our party application deadline.
Just because I know not all families are as into college applications as we are, can you tell them what super score means?
Absolutely. Great question. It's there and kind of the college lingo there. So super score means that if you've taken the SAT or the ACT separately, you've taken them multiple times, that you essentially will have the best score out of each subsection combined together for a best overall score. Again, Bright Futures will do this, Florida Southern does this, State University System does this. So essentially, let's say you take the ACT 3 times, and you've done that, and you take the English, the math, the science, the reading, and you get your highest score one time in math, one time is in reading, and then on another test, you get exceptional in the science and English sections that's there. It's going to combine the scores for a best overall score. So you may score a composite score overall on one test of like a 23, one time's a 24 that's there, and another time you did it as a 24 again. Well, maybe you've gotten to a 25 as a super score because each subsection now combines together for a best overall score of that. SAT is the same. It will look at the English and writing and the math sections and super scores them together. We at Florida Southern accept a super score on the ACT or the SAT. So same that we look at.
Awesome. So right along those lines, we do have another question in here, and we have time for, I think, 2 more. The first question is relative to GPA. How are your schools taking into account what I think we all affectionately now call the COVID years?
I'm happy to go first with that. I'll just say I have had many students already this year who have struggled during the pandemic, and I want you all to know that I know it's a thing. We are people, and we too struggled during the pandemic. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy time for any of us. And because of that, usually when I see a student who has struggled during the pandemic, if they submitted an essay, I'm hoping that they mention, why they struggled and how they have done things to change and challenge themselves to become better since then. And if they haven't submitted an essay, usually I'm going to call them and say, hey, I'm reviewing your application right now, and I see that you struggled during this year. Do you want to tell me a little bit about it? So just because you submit your application doesn't mean your admissions counselor won't reach out to you and make you give them more information, especially at Embry-Riddle. I mean, if there's something that we see that, might raise a yellow flag for us, we want to hear from you about it before we just say, the student's not in. That we don't do that. We know that you're human beings, and usually we're going to reach out to you first and say, hey, what's going on? Tell me what happened. And 9 times out of 10, we're going to say, okay, this student has done things since the pandemic and has raised their grades since then and has gotten more involved and improved their mental health and, and done all these things to continue to strive towards thriving. And those are all things that we take into consideration for sure.
I think that's wonderful to hear as a parent. I think sometimes we don't realize that you might reach out and ask for extra information. My daughter had her freshman year during COVID, and whoo, it was rough. It was an experience doing online learning for the first time. So that's really interesting. Anyone want to add on to that before I share the final question? Okay. So I think something that people find confusing about smaller private colleges, if you haven't been to one or attended one, is they worry that their children are going to go and there's not going to be maybe the same type of active campus life as you might see at a huge university. In some cases, in Orlando, for example, many of our campuses are very large. They're 3,000 to 4,000 students, right? And so what would you tell a parent about the campus life at your schools and how that compares? And then also, just as we're answering that, there's a great question from Mrs. Ramirez in the chat that you guys might want to answer differently for each university. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Sorry, I know I've been talking a lot, but I'm happy to go first. So yeah, I just sent a link in the chat where you can look up a little bit more about our campus life. But in general, I'll just say this. We are a private university, but that doesn't mean that we got nothing going on. So we have an active athletic life. We are NCAA Division II, so we do have a lot of sports and stuff and events that are happening on campus. We also have over 200 clubs and orgs, with everything from skydiving club to surfing club to build a rocket and see how high it launches club to yeah, I mean, you name it. Actually, our campus in Arizona has a club called the Sweater Vest Club where they literally just wear sweaters on Thursdays and give people hugs. I mean, that's the great thing about college is you're bound to find some other people like you who are, have their quirks and weird niches, and you're gonna find some people that to make friend group with, and I mean, that's just exemplified in our student clubs and orgs. In addition to that, we are in the heart of Daytona, so we're right next to the Daytona International Airport, which is where our flight students fly out of. We're also right next to the Daytona International Speedway, so there are a lot of shopping areas and food areas right next to us. We're about 10 minutes from the beach, so that would be more of like the, world's famous beach in Daytona. And that's where we have the boardwalk and the band shell, where there's live music every Friday and Saturday night. And I mean, in addition to that, we're only an hour from St. Augustine, which is where Flagler's at, which is a beautiful area as well. We're also, for our students interested in space, we are actually in the space capital of the world, so we're only an hour from Cape Canaveral. You can see the rocket launches happen there. And then we are also only an hour from Kennedy Space Center. So, I mean, there's so much to do on campus. I will say we are a little bit more of a nerdy school. So yeah, I mean, we do have like Greek life and stuff like that, but just imagine it with a little bit of a nerdy twist. But yeah, that's Embry-Riddle.
Oh, Greek life with a nerdy twist might be my quote of the night. All right. Anyone else want to add on to that?
Go really quick. Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah.
I'll start talking.
I think Florida Southern College, one of the things I like to note is we are very much that kind of traditional Southern welcoming campus that's there. So if students are looking for, I like to mention us as kind of a small school with a big school feel as far as having Greek life, 12 different fraternities and sororities on campus. If your students are looking for that, they're interested in the NCAA athletics there. Cheering on our moccasins. That's, by the way, a snake, not a shoe. I always like to say for the moccasins that's there. And if your students are interested in kind of creating their own thing, they have the opportunity to do that here. Our Harry Potter Club now is actually spawned off a wand makers club that's there. So students can actually create their own wands in a maker space on campus. We get nerdy here too. Our esports program, I mentioned that briefly in our presentation. We're NACE Division 1. We're actually ranked 5th in the country for Rocket League, finished 1st in what's called the Peach Belt Conference for esports, and Overwatch that's there. So, and that's like a big event for going out and watching. A quirk for us, one of our most popular sports to go out and watch is our Division 3 ice hockey team at Florida Southern College. We play UF and it's a sellout on Sunday night here in our Lakeland Ice Arena. So you can have a little bit of anything and everything that feels like a bigger school. It also, but still have the benefits of the small school atmosphere, the small class sizes and things like that in the traditional residential setting in a safe campus environment that's here too, where students can explore and have the opportunities to get together. That's there. So all of that is involved in our campus. And oftentimes what we see is students look at big schools comparative to a school like Florida Southern for academics and opportunities, but see the fit in what's here. If you want to have a small school experience with the big school feel, again, it's there, be known as a name and a face and not always just a number on a campus.
All right. I think everyone wants to reply to this one. So let's do Hannah and then Sophia.
Sounds good to me. All right. So there is always things happening at Flagler and then just St. Augustine in itself. Flagler College, we're located right in the middle of the historic district, which is also downtown. St. Augustine, we're a huge foodie city, and as a student, you kind of get prime access to downtown. It's a very walkable city, so our students are constantly going out and trying all the different local restaurants. St. Augustine is also a city that loves a reason to celebrate and throw a festival. So we just had our Sing Out Loud Festival, which is actually a month-long music fest where there is free live music literally on every corner for you. We just had our Rhythm and Ribs Fest too, so world-class barbecue food, live music. Don't know how anyone could not enjoy that. And then our Nights of Lights, which we're actually known worldwide for. So just coming up in a couple of weeks, the entire downtown is covered in these beautiful white holiday lights, and it is just a great and beautiful spot to be there. We are also located just 10 minutes away from multiple beaches, so our students love going there for study breaks or to bring their flashcards. And then also less than 10 minutes away is our local amphitheater, which is actually ranked #1 in the country, #2 in the world for outdoor concert venues, and where our locals farmers markets also held. So you will always see students out and about every Saturday morning checking that out. We also have a little bit of a nerdy aspect to us, like the others have mentioned. Ponce Hall, which is our bread and butter. It is the beautiful hall that you think of when you think of Flagler College. Our dining hall is also in there, and it looks straight out of Hogwarts. So we actually have a full week in the fall dedicated to Harry Potter. Personally, when I came to the school, I knew nothing about Harry Potter, but now being here, everyone seems to fall in love with it. So the professors dress up for the entire week. There is different events happening, sorting hat ceremonies. We hand out wand making kits for you. And then there's a concert and food truck night. At the end of the week, we have our Yule Ball. And actually, Sean Kingston's coming next week for that one. And then also, if you've ever been interested in going to Coachella, we have Flagler Fest in the spring. So that's just another great event, which is a weekend-long music festival for all of our students. We have over 60 different clubs and organizations ranging from service-based to academic-based to interest-based. So we have everything from our surf club, which has competed nationally, all the way to our ghost hunting club, since St. Augustine is the oldest city in the country. So really a ton happening for you always. And I can honestly say you will never get bored on campus with us.
Thanks so much. Sophia, wrap us up.
Perfect. So to tell you a little bit about what we have at Eckerd, I always like to joke that it's easier to tell you what we don't have at Eckerd because there's always something going on, there's always an event, there's always students involved. So you always see students hanging out together. We are a small campus, a little under 2,000 students, so students really get to make that connection. So wherever you look, be it at our own private beach or the waterfront facility, if students want to go sailing or kayaking or paddleboarding or learn how to sail, they can do all of those things for free at Eckerd, and they usually go together. It's the cutest thing. We also have a tradition in which they jump from the pier at the beginning of classes. Anyways, tons of things that happen on campus. Just like the other colleges, we also have tons of clubs and societies. We have more than 100 clubs and societies that students can join, and if for some reason we don't have what they are interested in, they are more than welcome to create their own. We have things such as your traditional student newspaper or student organization, to things such as our Ultimate Frisbee team and a Taylor Swift Society, which I'm very proud of, and they always put events on campus. It is amazing. We also have food trucks that come into campus every Thursday at the beginning of the month for the students, as well as a permanent food truck that is there and is only open late at nights from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if students just want to hang out or they can't sleep or they are in the middle of a study session and they need food, they can go and stop, grab pizza from our food truck. St. Pete itself is a very young city. There's so many new families and young people, so definitely lots of events going on. Downtown is absolutely gorgeous, lots of restaurants, and for some reason we have lots of escape rooms still. So if students are interested in that, we always tell them to grab little teams and go together, as well as events that we put up throughout the city. So this past September, we had an entire week dedicated for our sophomores, and we had events throughout the entire city. We blocked a part of downtown for our students. So we really like to have them involved in the community and to have the community showcased on campus. But definitely lots of things happening. For example, we also have, I believe, just as Brooklyn was mentioning, we also are a Division II school. So students always get together to cheer for any of our teams. There's always lots of the good fun that comes with games and all of that. But what I always recommend students that want to know more about student life is we have tons of student ambassadors that are current students here at Eckerd that can tell you all about those. They can tell you about our traditions and our tradition events and what to do when you're in campus or off campus. And even though I can tell you all about it, it's always nicer to hear from someone who's actually living that. So if any of you guys know that your son, daughter, child would like to know more, please let me know so I can connect them to a student ambassador.
And on that note, join me in giving all of our panelists a huge round of applause with your emojis, please. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope it was a valuable use of your time. All of you will receive a copy of this slide deck within 24 hours, and you're also going to find a recording of this session on our OCPS Families YouTube channel, and we'll drop the link for that as well. You can also help us and help other high school families by giving us some feedback on this experience. You can either scan the QR code with your phone or click on the link in the chat box and share any suggestions you have on how we can improve this experience, additional schools you'd like to hear from, or other formats. There has been talk about having an in-person college fair, all of those different things. We would love to be able to get your feedback on that. Again,